Hey, I've been having some crazy stuff happening with me lately, and I pulled some cards to see what the subject should be of this video today, and it seems to be in alignment with what I feel, which is just to kind of give you a synopsis of what I'm going through. And I was kind of hoping I would get something else. I'm just gonna, I think the best method for me is to just kind of go with it. I'm not gonna kind of over explain myself or anything here, just so that it can kind of get out and we'll see, right? So, part of me not wanting to talk about what I was going through is because it's ongoing, so I don't want to get too personal about anything and like kind of say something that might be disrespectful to people that is involved in this. And also, I lost my train of thought. Why? Oh, because I figure, I was like kind of thinking, okay, if I talk about it, then I want to just do it off the cuff like I normally do or always do. And, it's like, well, I don't know if I'm going to get any signs for anyone, or this is mostly just kind of like, confirmation for you, or like, it's like, oh, if you're going through something, then then that's the way that would be a sign. It's not necessarily like I'm like how I do some of these other ones where I'm like, okay, so this, right? If you're wondering what I have, it says success. It says success. Congratulations, you did it. So, basically, we're gonna kind of do this whole lead up of everything that I've been talking about. In some of these like sit down kind of just catching up with you guys videos, where I talked about like my dad and telling him everything that was going on in my childhood, and him basically saying like, hey, like, we did the best we can, we didn't abuse you, which I never brought up to him any of his abuse. With me talking about my mother, I never brought it up, but that's, he's just going off the same old narrative, right? And so he was basically saying like the past is only going to hold him back, he needs to move forward. He already asked forgiveness from God for any of his wrongdoings, and that other people who may have any sort of issues with him would forgive him. So it's basically kind of admitting that he knows he did something wrong. Why would you be talking about forgiveness? And you get what I'm saying, right? And so I'm in this surreal moment, right, where to a certain degree everything's fine, but in a certain degree my mother has to be his primary caregiver for this temporary time, right? And it's surreal because just as I was helpless and vulnerable, I was at the hands of the devil. And all I wanted was to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. And it comes full circle where now she's his primary caregiver and he is now in a vulnerable and helpless temporary state, right? Just as I was young, I am now older. So just as he's needing her care, he will recover. But he's at the hands of the same devil that I was. And the same devil that he said did the best that they could It's like crazy to think about. My nose is running. I'm not crying. I have allergies. So anyway, not only that, but my mom is trying to smear my name just all across the board because she's doing some really sketchy stuff, right? She's doing some super, super sketchy stuff with him. And then she's bringing up all of this that I've like talked to him about because she's aware of what I said. And it's so interesting to see because she's bringing it up to other people, and how, you know, at one point in my life, I would get carried away with every single thing that she would say. Every single thing, because there was this desire or this need for me to want to be seen, want to be heard, wanting to be understood, wanting to just, you know, like that would have just been this feeling of reassurance. That's what I needed, reassurance, because all the adults, you know, so I got in an accident when I was a kid, and they recommended therapy for the trauma of this accident. And the therapy lasted a very short amount of time. They took me out of it, and she wanted to be there through the sessions, and they made her leave. And then she took me out of it. But those sessions very quickly turned into what's going on with her. And they recommended the same thing that my guidance counselors recommended to me, which was use your mind. There's no way that you will get out of this as safely as you could if you just basically succeeded as much as you can to just not make as many ripples and just get out of there when you're able to, when you're old enough, because legally they control me, right? And financially, like the power dynamics were too much for them, right? Like they had too much power. And especially with a mother, you know, if you get taken away, you know, or CPS and all this stuff, then basically like they want to reunite you with your family, right? And if there's any sort of like sexual abuse or anything, then it's a lot more difficult to pinpoint when it's a female. So there's just like a, you know, and she's so conniving and so tricky, and she's, you know, so she has such a mask, a beautiful mask, and you know, it can appear very stable, that it would be very difficult to prove. And even if it were proven, the likelihood that I would return to her is that's what they want, right? So anyway, I had to use my mind, and that's kind of where my father's at now, where it takes perseverance, it takes strength of the mind, it takes faith. And part of that surrealness that I see is like, I don't have to prove myself, right? It's like I have these micro experiences in life where my faith has been put to the test, where, you know, I always felt that connection to spirit, but there was no support here. And so these micro experiences that proved to me that, now I'm crying. This is not allergies. But it would prove to me of beyond, of everything that I've envisioned. And it really showed me in these small experiences, wow, I really love myself. Wow, I'm worthy. I'm worthy of being here. I'm worthy of existing. I'm worthy of having a life. I'm worthy of trying. And to have this experience happen, she's just going off the rails, just completely off the rails. And seeing her just trying to manipulate and twist everyone. And to see it and think, wow, like there was a slight fear I had, just a tiny little fear, like, oh man, you know, what if they start believing this? That's not gonna feel good, right? And I'm like, it really doesn't matter. It does not matter if someone believes her or not. I know who I am. Like, I really understand myself. I really know myself. And I love myself. And nothing that she will do and other people will do or perceive of me changes my truth. And it's just so wild to see like that evolution, that growth in me, and that strength I have in my faith, and to see it in practice, because this is the time, right? It's like when things are easy, it's easy to be faithful. When things are easy, it's easy to believe in something else and let your mind go, you know, into these states of higher consciousness and kind of daydream. It's the difficult times when you have to really put it into action, and you have to say, if this is everything that you believe, then put it into practice. Fall into that. And I have. And it's wild. Like, it blows my mind to see this for me. And it makes me truly proud of myself. And this isn't really a thing of me saying how great I am, but it's like, you know, I don't know why. Maybe you're going through something like this, or there's something in here that you need to hear, but it's like, you know, you don't really see the full reason of why some things happen, or you kind of see why these little challenges, you know, and confrontations that you have in life are developing you. But it's when those magnanimous, I don't know, like a huge experience like the one that I'm going through, that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was really training for this in some ways, like little training, and here it is. I'm like, I'm ready for it. There's nothing she can do or say that is going to pull me from my faith. My faith in God, in spirit, in the spirit realm, the things that I see. There's nothing that she can say that's going to pull me from the love that I have for myself, the understanding I have for myself, the constant, like, you know, when I started tearing up earlier about feeling like there was nobody for me. You know, there was no one in the world for me that minus the therapist and everything, and like one teacher who was just intuitively very great person. But as far as like, without me going to them first, like someone who, like a savior, I didn't have that. And to follow a path that I feel was right for me, like I followed what intuitively I felt. And I never talked about the angels. I never talked about all this spirituality. So there was no one to relate to with that. And so, and I never researched any of that. And so I don't know, you see what I'm saying? Like now I'm actually like really seeing it put into action in the most challenging experience that I've ever had, and being more than okay. I will say this. So, no, I'll save it for another day. I'll save it. But especially I think a really big message here for anyone who's still, if this, whatever, but is really trust in your vision. Trust in your visions. Trust in that communication. Trust in your dreams. Trust in your journey. Like it'll progressively make sense. And anything that seems challenging, don't look at it as if it's a point of frustration. Look at it as a point of a sign. It's like, wow, I could perceive this as a very frustrating situation, or I could look at this as a sign for something. What are you telling me? What can I do to transform this energy and propel me forward, and to motivate me to really perceive what is happening and to be grounded in that? And it's interesting, this is a side note that I keep forgetting about, is like to see her, you know, the connection that I have as an adult now, and the understanding that I really have of the devil, and to even have it confirmed biblically of the half-truths that these demons and the devil, because they were, anyway, and that's textbook demonic behavior, is she will sprinkle in half-truths. She will sprinkle in truths about me to try and twist and manipulate, and then she tries to kind of level her up, right, into showing her credentials and showing what kind of, you know, and then again confirming things about me, or confirming things. It's like they look for that they look for that point of weakness, and I don't mean that in saying that you might be weak. I'm saying in a point of where, like for instance, wanting to be cordial. Okay, you want to be cordial with them, and so she'll use that to try and find a little crack in that, to say, how can I play into that where they will continue to be cordial, and I can just kind of twist, because that in some essence is still being masked, right? Like being cordial, sometimes being masked, or it's like a light shadow, I would say, right? It's just kind of trying to exist in this world, right? And so it's like that. So really it's what I'm saying is, you know, owning up to your shadows. The more that you own up to your shadows, the more that you develop yourself and not run from anything, the more strong you become, and self-aware and self-confident that you become, because there's nothing, you know, when it comes to God and everything, there's nothing that is too much, right? There's nothing that's too much. There's nothing that's too wrong. Even her, she can change. She can change if she wants, you know? And so as far as like my dad and like what's going on with him and how I perceive all of this too, is I was very giving at first, and I felt like that was the right thing to do, and then it suddenly twisted to becoming self-abuse, because I was starting to get taken advantage of. And so ultimately, I have a middleman handling things. And what I feel for me is basically that I can only give as much as what I feel is right to do. And that means taking away anything from the past, right? None of that really matters. Like I have to, it's like, you know, I'll say like I have to do my best to emulate what I believe as far as the higher power goes in God, and you know, living in that way. But it's not that difficult for me. What's difficult is when I'm being mistreated, and for that, then that puts an unhealthy dynamic for me and for them as well. It's enabling behavior. And so that's why I have a middleman in place. And ultimately, what I want to convey to him as well is that he can get through this. Just as I aged and became someone that was able to become independent, he has time to do that. It's what he does with his mind, but I want him to know in a way that I didn't have, in the way that he denied me, that he's seen, he's heard. And these are the ways out. Because he has options to at least get better enough to make the decision of where he wants to go moving forward. Right? Because that's his choice and that's his business. But as far as that independence goes, that's up to him, right? So I feel like pulling a card. It says conclusions are within reach. So whatever kind of things you're going through, it seems to be that you're going to have some answers pretty soon about that. It says full moon eclipse, and I do want to mention that because I feel like the full moon is important here. And we have education, it's number 35, right? And I'm seeing a message of 35 and up. That's what they're telling me, 35 and up with education, where it's very similar to me in this sense of, you know, how they kind of section off whenever you kind of tick off boxes of your age range. And this is what I'm seeing, where you're going to level up. They're even showing me a PhD. It's like you're leveling up your education when it comes to, I'm hearing the mechanics. It's some sort of mechanics of spirit, or the mechanics of kind of the interconnectedness. They're showing me like a spider web, and within the spider web is those little the webbing, right? And each one, how there are different dynamics to that, and how that's kind of the same processes that occur within your mind, right? So your mind and the way that the brain and the body is developed are these micro universes. Is a reflection of spirit and what happens in the spiritual realm within the consciousness, right? Within the matrix of us. And then beyond that, that's an extension. That again, okay, this is what they want to explain, okay? Is, oh, I don't have any boogers, sorry. So they're showing me how the body, like we are of spirit before we're of flesh, right? So we're not flesh. We are not this body. However, you can see these little expressions of the universe and the way that it operates and the way that it evolves and develops within us, within our system, within every little bit. You can see it in every single thing of how the universe creates itself, how the world is created, how spirit works in tandem with all this, building up, building up, building up. And then they're showing, you know, the universal consciousness and how it operates like that. And then a step above that, right? And you can look beyond. And why I'm specifying two things. I'm specifying the consciousness of Earth and the earthly realms, okay, that are within this kind of like planetary system and beyond, like different galaxies, but it's all kind of within the same system. And then it extends out, and then it's more systems. So there's other consciousness, but they're showing me that, then a bigger one. And then they're saying how all of that is kind of always reflected into this micro expression, right? It's a remembrance, but branch beyond. And beyond that is the ultimate truth that extends, it operates that way, but it's in a more loving and a spiritual way, in the sense that it doesn't operate on mechanics. It doesn't operate from a place of, you know, the scientific understanding. It doesn't operate at the way basically agnostic people, right? Is that the right word? People who are looking for the way to replicate it. It's not replicable. It's something much. It's spirit. It's spirit. And so they're saying you're going to see a little bit more of the machine, right? So it's like you're always looking, I don't even know. Like we'll use this teacup. So you're always looking at this teacup as a teacup, right? And then you started learning more about gold, right? Like gold paint. And so now so now when you look at the teacup, you can identify, oh, okay, so this is how they make it. You have the gold teacup, you have the little gold lining, and then you start learning about ceramics and pottery making. So now you understand that. So when you look at it, it changes form in your mind because you're starting to understand and process how it was created, right? And so now you're understanding it on an even bigger scale. It's just changing and changing and changing and changing. So this teacup is going to be evolving, where you're really going to see many things about this. I have little, the Chariot. That's exactly what I'm seeing here, is this, it's a feeling of stillness. It's honestly, how do I explain? Okay. Stillness, groundedness in you. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to change anything. The education is coming from spirit. It's coming from within. The conclusions that are within reach, the full moon, is going to come whether or not you do anything in your life. It doesn't matter what you do in life. The full moon's going to come. Right? And hold on. Another full moon. Full moon in Cancer. The full moon is important here. Whatever full moon. Where you're going to be recognized. It's almost as if it's like intuition is heightened, not just for you. But it's different. It's different. For you, you're receiving some sort of peace and confirmation and groundedness and stillness, much like what I'm expressing to you about my experiences, where it's just going to deepen, and you're gonna see again some sort of mechanics here. Spiritually speaking, But as you're stepping up, right, you're 35 and up, there are people surrounding you, there's energy surrounding you that are evolving as well, but it's because they're diving in, right? Like the moon, like they're kind of showing me the moon card, like in tarot, where it's like facing your fears and understanding yourself and kind of just, what's it called? Like personal, like just kind of like reflection. You're reflecting on things and how, during the full moon, there's a lot less robberies because it's very easy to see at night. And they're showing me how it's a lot more difficult to hide in a full moon. So it's like all these things that were hidden are going to be, not all of them, but it's going to start making more sense for people. It's going to start making more sense. And this for you is starting now. Like it's a buildup. It's a buildup. It's like when you're starting the pottery, you're at the pottery making place, and they're bringing you the pieces. So you're watching it unfold. You're watching it happen. Where it's like, ding, a little bit of information. Here's a little bit more information. Here's a little bit more information, and then, boom. Now you're ready. You're making it, and that's when you really start learning, right? But you're observing. So with the Chariot, what I'm saying is, you're not going anywhere. The movement's happening around you, and there's this curtain behind. It's so little. There's a curtain behind the Chariot, behind the man. Anyway, doesn't matter. I know it doesn't matter. Okay, the veil. All right, the veil is being ripped off. The veil is being ripped off of someone here, where the truth, you must have some similar situation where there's some toxic half-truth influences around, and that curtain was a curtain of creation, false creation of consciousness. It's like, this is the reality. And so the Chariot is pursuing life, the charioteer, whatever, the person driving the chariot is going through life, kind of with that balancing and making choices between good and bad, making it very black and white. I'm going to do something good. I'm going to do something bad. Da 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 da. And the curtain behind there of a false reality. And now the charioteer stops. He says, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to choose good. I'm not going to choose bad. I'm going to choose stillness. I'm going to choose inward thinking. And then the curtain gets taken down. No, it doesn't get taken down by anything. I'm getting two energies. It's like it ripples. So the way that it gets taken down by source is a breeze. It's like, shoo, and then the curtain moves, and the charioteer, because they aren't focused on movement, their reality before of this curtain behind them was it would always be moving. So that was just what they always knew. And so when they stop and they start thinking and meditating, and they're not choosing, they're not making a choice between good or bad, they're just observing, they're just feeling into themselves. When that breeze hits the curtain, it's like, what? That's a curtain this whole time? Like, it changes the sensation, it changes the sound. It changes their reality because they saw it one way. Now they're really waking up and like, hold on, that was a curtain this whole time. And so they're going to turn around and make the choice. Do I take this curtain down? Do I peek around it? It feels like they're peeking around. Like, what is really happening here? What is this? And then they look behind and they see the world existing behind this curtain. It's not this darkness, because the curtain, what's on the curtain is the thing that I'm seeing here on this card, which is the stars. It's not a full moon. It's the stars, and it's darkness. And it's hidden. Hidden agendas, hidden reality, false reality. And when they take it down, it's like, hold up. What was behind me wasn't ever real to begin with. And it's a feeling of empowerment, and I see like a battle, I was gonna say battle scar, battle wound, but it's like a medallion, you know, and that's symbolic of war, right? And then they're showing me like the victory card, the Six of Wands, which is very victorious. But think about what happens before the Six of Wands, the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands. I mean, is it Five of Wands? Anyway, it doesn't matter. They're showing me the Six of Wands, and it's kind of like, yeah, you know, it's victorious, but I've been through a lot. So, you know, is it like everyone's happy? I'm all right. Everyone's happy. Everything's going good, but I still got to fix what's up here. Sounds like I'm talking about myself and my situation, but it definitely feels like it's connected to you as well. Yep. Into the unknown. Commitment. Flying. Talisman. Oh, there's another one here. One ring circus. A lot of thinking energy. So I feel a lot of thinking energy. Of what do I do? What choice do I make? Moving forward. So it's a period of progression, of healing. It's like after the Six of Wands, after the victory, after the return home, after the, you know, from battle. It's like anyone who returns from war. It's like, now what do I do with my life? You know, where do I want to drive this energy to? And I see a rainbow here, and it's like the other side of the rainbow is what I see. What do you identify with on the other side of the rainbow? You will get there, but how do you respond? Yeah, I'm just seeing a lot of mental energy, but it's all positive, because I see a labyrinth, and then this like unicorn thing above it, and it's like higher, you know, a lot of thinking about like that meditation, and it's a connection to spirit. It's a connection to visions. It's a connection to angels. I'm going to tell you. Let me tell you. I'm going to tell you. If you're here, I'm going to tell you. All right. So I had a vision about my dad before like the stuff that's been going on with him. I had several visions, and I saw his guardian angels. I saw his guardian angels. He almost died, okay? And I saw his guardian angels. Okay, I saw his spirit first, okay? I'm telling you, like, there's someone here. The birds are here, they're awake. So I saw his spirit hit like this energetic barrier, right? And on the other side were his guardian angels. And he was freaking out. He's like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Oh my gosh, you know, all this stuff. And I was observing, and I'm like, he's not going to die. He's not going to die, because that barrier was his spirit. It wasn't really, it was like he was just freaking out. So it's like his higher consciousness, but it's beyond that. It's something else beyond that. But it's like a part of his consciousness. So I say spirit, but his spirit is always kind of like Zen, I guess that's how we are. But anyway, so this highest part of him, extension of him, was hitting the barrier, and it's like, whoa, you know, I don't, like, I have more things to do. I don't want to leave. And he wasn't going to leave. He's still attached to his body. Now, this is what I've observed with people who truly pass away, right? It doesn't matter how traumatic and quick these experiences happen, the response of the physical world is slower than what happens spiritually. They're steps ahead. And so spiritually, you are already past. You're already gone. You've already disassociated. Mentally, what happens is a little bit of a different, like more humanistic and lower level thinking, like, or, you know, that kind of thinking. But spiritually, we're like in a different place, right? And so he couldn't go anywhere, right? Because he wasn't going to pass away, and he hadn't passed away. And so his guardian angels were observing him. They're watching him. And it was this like mental, you know, they weren't talking. It was like transferred telepathically, where they're like kind of telling him, but more just like watching like the whole situation, and then observing me. And I knew they were his because they did not look like mine, and I confirmed it with them. And so I was talking to my dad, you know, and I was like, listen, you're fine. Just go back to your body. You're fine. You're not going to die. You're not supposed to die. Like, everyone's here. Like, you're fine, you know. And so that was that, right? Now I went to go see him, and I saw his guardian angels again. Like, I could feel them. And they were all around him. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I'd never seen that. I mean, I have, but like not in a long time. And it's always kind of been connected more around me. I never seen it like so like clear. And I told him, you know, I held his hand, and I told him, I said, listen, your guardian angels are here. You're fine. That's who you're seeing around you, you know. And he started getting better. And more like at peace or whatever. And that night, I asked, in my sleep, I asked, you know, because I kept seeing everyone moving around. They were watching him, and they looked at me because I walked in, right? So this is my dream. So that happened, then I went to bed. And that night I had a dream. They're moving around. They're in the hospital with him because he had to go to the hospital. And they told me, like, shh. They're like, shh, you know, he's resting. We're fixing him up. You know, they're doing like this energetic kind of like that. They just like kind of like cleansing him, moving this energy. And then they started talking to me after they're talking. So it was like some of them working, and then others came forward, and they started talking to me. And I'm like, this is too much. Like, you're talking to me, and I'm kind of like not really understanding what's going on here. can you say it more clear? Like, is he gonna be okay? Like, thumbs up or thumbs down? And I literally woke up in bed with my hand outstretched, thumbs up, pulling myself up. I was already like sitting up, you know, pulling myself in the middle, like, not, I wasn't sitting up yet, but I was in the middle of sitting up. So I was like, out of bed, like, he's fine. And I was like, And then, so he came to, he's fine. And then I had another dream. I didn't tell them about this, right? So I had this other dream, like 2 nights later. And I was walking, because I was getting him stuff. So I was like getting him a bunch of stuff, and I saw a bunch of books. And I saw Bibles, and I was like, oh. And I went to go grab one, and I was like, oh, I'll go grab it. And I was like, oh, I'm in a hurry. You know, he's not going to want to read it right now anyway, and blah, 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 blah. I took note of a red Bible. And then that next day, he didn't say it, my mom was saying it, that he kept waking up in the middle of the night, and she kept asking him what he was dreaming of, and he said, red Bible, red Bible, red Bible. Which you could look into the spiritual meaning of a red Bible if you want, because I thought that was interesting. And then another sign that I got was I felt drawn to open a Bible and like whatever, like some other stuff too. I won't go into detail because it's not important, but in the Bible, there was like another confirmation there. And so I did tell them, because spiritually it was like a buildup of energy, like, you better speak your mind, you know. And I told them, and before that I prayed, and I was like, you know, rally behind me to say the right things. And I like very clearly just talks about everything, and kind of basically like, this is your second chance, right? Like, what I feel for him is like, this is his chance, his choice to follow some sort of divine purpose. There's another purpose to this. What happened to him feels fated. It feels fated to cause a shift, a major shift for him to choose. Moving forward, what does he choose? Does he choose to follow this second purpose, right? Because we have multiple purposes in life. Do you follow that second calling? Or do you just do whatever, you know? And he's been acting kind of weird too. There was like weird stuff going on, like even in the hospital, you know, like weird coincidences. And even one of the nurses that was with him, she had like this crazy story, and she had this huge tattoo of a cross, and was like talking about like what happened to her, some traumatic experience, and how it brought her closer to God. And you could just see in him, like, he just starts like going somewhere, you know, like really thinking about everything. And someone asked him, you know, like, did you see anything? Like, did you see your guardian angels or whatever? And he's normally like, no, like that. This time he was like, I don't know. So I don't know what's going on there. He's fine though. I mean, if you want to know what these are, there's something about Cancer coming through twice, whether it's a sign, whether it's something that's your personal life, or it's kind of the mood or energy of Cancer, or maybe something will be happening, because we have full moon in Cancer, a new moon in Cancer. Another full moon is extremely important here, not just symbolically, but real life, the full moon, whichever one's either going to come or had just, no, it's not recently passed. It's the next full moon. It says, show the world the real you. You and your loved ones are safe. I want to show this one, which is nothing will come of this situation. I don't quite mean that in like a negative way, like, oh, like nothing's gonna come of it. What I'm seeing is more of look at that perspective. It's like this far out perspective, this full perspective. When you look at these full moons, right, it's so up close. It's almost like overwhelming. It's a little much. When you come here, this is much better. So yeah, that's a better way, because I'm trying to figure out how to tell you what I'm feeling when it comes to this, which is basically like nothing will come of this situation, which is basically discern between what is potentially a fear versus intuition, and constantly remind yourself of that if that's something that you're struggling with. Is nothing bad is coming from a situation that may be testing you in some way. You have to keep a positive mindset, a strong mindset to, you know, be willing to extend yourself past what's comfortable, to be a little uncomfortable in order to be a champion, right? You have to push through that. And even showing the real you. Before I told them about my dreams, I did not want to do it, and it was burning in me. Like, it was starting to really cause me a lot of stress because I knew I had to. And so it's a buildup of energy, right? Be willing to take that step outside of the box when it feels right for you. Don't keep it in. Don't keep it in. Don't keep it in. Follow your path. Follow that. And the energy is gaining momentum. Look, it's on your side. I want to end that here because that's exactly what I'm saying is you're going to feel this build up. This is I think this is another message. It's not like, it's like all connected, but you get what I'm saying? It's like subject 1, subject 2 of the entire chapter. And so you're gonna know, you're gonna feel it, and just know you're right on target. You're right on target. You're not gonna make the wrong move. You're not gonna wait too long. Tell yourself that. Like and pray. Like, I'm going to say and do what I feel or what I know is right or righteous at that right moment. Right on target. And look at the new moon, right? It's a new moon, which means that you cannot see the full moon. So you're shooting, well, it should be like you're shooting, it's like a blind shot, but you know where the moon is, right? Like it's like shooting a balloon. Like you know where it's at. You just gotta trust yourself. You gotta trust your instincts. You gotta trust your intuition and be like, there it is, and it's hiding right there, right? You got it, no problem. Just be confident in yourself and comfortable. Like, become comfortable by being uncomfortable. It takes practice, right? So that's what I see, and that's what's going on. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.